Well, these ICE agents deserve a medal for laughing in the face of a screaming liberal banshee at one of America's airports.
Thoughts? You guys are the foot soldiers of a fascist regime, right? Is that not what it is? Is that funny? Is that funny?
I mean, I love that so much. And it comes as the border czar Tom Homan revealed that ICE agents will remain at airports until TSA officers are able to resume normal operations. Joining me now to discuss this and more is political strategist Tiffany Marie Brannon. Tiffany, an absolute pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you so much for joining me. Look, these ICE agents, they're just trying to do their jobs. This is the job that they are employed to do, and they've got the absolute lunatic asylum going at them. What do you make of their reaction?
Oh, I think it's what happened when common sense meets complete idiocy and lunacy. In fact, I've traveled a significant amount this week, and let me tell you, I love having ICE agents in the airports. It was incredible. They helped me with my bags. They're not bad on the eye. It was a wonderful experience. But, these people that are harassing these ICE officers, they're the same people that are calling them racist. And as you see here, these ICE officers are almost all minority men. And so it's just at some point, it's ludicrous and it's hilarious in a sad way to see the kind of rhetoric that is being spewed at them. We know that assaults and verbal assaults and physical assaults against ICE officers are up over 3,200%. And so I think these guys are just having to laugh it off at this point.
Yeah, I mean, what else can they do? You're so right. It's actually embarrassing. I don't know what these liberals or the left think they're going to achieve by doing something like that. But they're not going to achieve anything. In the end, Donald Trump has put these ICE agents in for a reason. They're going to have to move on eventually. It's ridiculous. Now, I've got to ask you about these diabolical No Kings protests across the US at the weekend. I mean, the elite were out in full force. You had Robert De Niro, Jane Fonda, the usual TDS sufferers. But this clip really baffled me. Have a look at this.
Fabulous, ladies. Fabulous. Fabulous, fabulous.
Have someone else take home. I would be happy to take one. It's okay. I mean,
I mean, The Handmaid's Tale literally mirrors the oppression of women in Iran. No rights, forced to cover up, treated like dogs. And Tiffany, these idiots seem to apply it to conservatives. What is wrong with them?
Yeah, it's classic TDS. But more than that, what's disturbing to me is that it shows a complete lack of understanding of what it means to live in America as a woman. We have rights here as women that no other country on earth can hold claim to when you look at everything, especially compared to what's going on in Iran and any Islamic nation. Even in the UK, right? You can post something here in America on your social media, and that's your right of free speech. In the United Kingdom, they've arrested over 12,000 of their own citizens just for tweeting or saying something, that Keir Starmer and the Labour Party didn't like in the UK. And the same thing goes with around the world. I know Australia has had its own issues with this. And so to really consider America an oppressive nation that treats women like cattle, like sexual objects, like subpar second-class citizens, it's absurd. And it also shows a complete lack of knowledge and understanding about what this country was founded on and how we believe in equal rights for all humans. We are not, contrary to popular belief at this point, we are not meat popsicles. We are endowed with certain unalienable rights. And that is something that you see these crazy women dressed up like Handmaid's Tale, and they just have absolutely no grounding in reality whatsoever.
No, they don't. And you raise a good point that they don't realise how lucky they have it in America. Because I also noticed this clip. Have a look at this. Tiffany, it's just so offensive. I just find it disgusting behaviour when they burn the flag like this. If you really hate America that much, leave, go and give it a go over in Iran if you want to. Let's see how they last 5 minutes over there.
Oh yeah, I would love for them to do that. My ancestors came to America really even pre-colonies. So I'm a daughter of the American Revolution on both sides of my family. My family has fought in every single war and battle since this country began. And to watch these people that, you know, hold American citizenship most likely, burn the flag of burn the stars and stripes that my forefathers literally shed their blood for. It makes me sick, it makes me angry, and it really, I think, also goes to the point that we are no longer teaching history. We're no longer teaching and creating a well-informed electorate. And an electorate that is ignorant of history, of truth, and of what it really means to have freedom and to not take these things for granted. You know, that's how you lose Western civilization.
Exactly, and you raise a good example. I mean, you are a daughter of the American Revolution. You are so proud, and there'll be so many other Americans out there like this who would be equally as horrified to see their flag being burned. And again, go have a go overseas. We'd love to hear about it. Look, let's talk about Iran. The Pentagon is reportedly preparing for weeks of ground operations there. The Washington Post saying that any potential operation would fall short of a full-scale invasion and could instead involve raids by a mixture of special operation. Here was the White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt's warning only a couple of days ago.
But the president's preference is always peace. There does not need to be any more death and destruction. But if Iran fails to accept the reality of the current moment, if they fail to understand that they have been defeated militarily and will continue to be, President Trump will ensure they are hit harder than they have ever been hit before. President Trump does not bluff, and he is prepared to unleash hell.
Well, Tiffany, I mean, the message is very loud and clear, isn't it, from the White House that they will unleash hell. How do you think this will go down?
Yeah, you know, President Trump has been such a peacemaker president, such a force of trying to end conflicts and really be, you know, ending war president. So I think that the fact that we're having to put ground troops on the, you know, on location, it speaks to his seriousness. It's kind of like that Teddy Roosevelt, you know, speak softly but carry a big stick. We would like to play ball. We would like to negotiate. We would like to try to have the best interest of the Iranian people, you know, come to fruition. But we can't do that when we are dealing with bad actors. They pinky promised us that their missiles can only go 2,000 kilometers. We know they can go at least 4,000 kilometers as they attacked Diego Garcia. They promised us they weren't going to have a nuclear program. We know there was about 400, you know, grams of enriched uranium. I mean, lie after lie has come out of the Islamic Iranian regime, and they do not care about playing fair. They do not care about their own people. They have massacred tens of thousands of, you know, Iranians that are trying to march for freedom. So I think President Trump is trying to do the best thing he can for not just the Iranian people, but for Americans. Every major terrorist threat in the last 30 years, I would like to say, is directly, you know, coming from Iran and from the people that are pouring money into these terrorist organizations. So I think that while it's not ideal, especially in a midterm year, to put, you know, troops on the ground, and a lot of people don't like that, this is also probably the quickest way to bring a swift and amicable and peaceful resolution to this conflict all the way around.
Absolutely, and you're right. I mean, in the end, the regime has called for death to America, and it's got its finger on the nuclear button. You know, Donald Trump's not just doing this for America; he's actually doing it for the West more broadly, for Australia and the UK. It's a shame, you know, us allies have been really poor in our performance, but I think you're so spot on. Now, look, I wanted to. I know that you went to CPAC over the weekend, and I'm very curious to get your takeaways. But before we get to that, the son of the former Iranian Shah. He spoke at the summit and he really, I guess, pitched himself to the conference. This is Reza Pahlavi. He spoke at CPAC urging Donald Trump not to cut a deal with Iran, instead seek regime change. Tiffany, his motto is make Iran great again. It was a packed house at the conference to hear him speak. How critical are his messages right now, do you think?
I think it's incredibly critical. And I think, to be honest, it was the only packed house in CPAC. You know, he brings up an incredibly important point where to restore Iran to its glory, to restore him as, you know, its leader, is to really protect generations of Iranians going forward and to change the global scale in a geopolitical fashion. We cannot negotiate with terrorists. And right now, all the Islamic regime that controls Iran is a terrorist network and a terrorist organization. We can try to, you know, beat around the bush, but that's really what it is. And I think that I have a lot of Iranian friends here in Arizona, actually, and they say every single one of them, that there's nothing they would like more than for him to be restored to power, for the regime change to happen, and for Iran and her people to be free. And so I think that is a very delicate line that President Trump's having to balance right now, especially in the geopolitical landscape that's going on. But I think ideally that would be wonderful, and everyone would be happy if that could be possible.
Yeah, look, absolutely. I mean, I think we're all hoping and praying for a democratic resolution to this, and that Iran can one day live peacefully, like it was going back 40 or so years ago. So, Tiffany, look, tell us, what were your key takeaways from CPAC? How was the weekend?
Honestly, it was a little strange. I'm going to be honest. So I attend almost every major political conservative event in the United States. I go to NatCon, I've been to AmFest, I went to the RNC. And so I have, I think, a pretty good gauge. I've been to CPAC in the past, and it was very strange because it was not what it has been in its glorious years of the past. President Trump didn't come, his first time in 10 years. And all together, it was a lack of star power that you would expect to see at this kind of convention, especially in a midterm year. I mean, this is an election year. And right now, polling market is not looking good for conservatives or Republicans. We could even potentially lose the Senate and the House. So it is a very pivotal year. And really, all I can say is that it was a missed opportunity. And I was quite disappointed at the lack of, turnout, the lack of star power, the lack of quality speeches. I think, the Iranian child prince, that was one of the only real highlights. My friend Jack Posobiec spoke. That was wonderful. But altogether, it was very strange. A lot of vendors, a lot of journalists. I think journalists might have outnumbered attendees, to be honest. There was quite a few of us. And so it was really, I think, a missed opportunity that I hope, won't cost us more elections this year.
Yeah, look, fingers crossed. It is a shame that Trump couldn't attend. I mean, he's always such the highlight. I guess he's got big priorities right now. He's fighting a big war. But yeah, fascinating to see your takeaways. And I did see a lot of journalists down there. You're right. I saw it all over social media. It was packed with journalists. So interesting comments. Tiffany Marie Brannon, it has been wonderful to have you on the show. Thank you so much for joining me this evening.
Thank you for having me.